Welcome to the Plant-Based Podcast.
Did you know that plants are truly amazing? Not only can you grow them, you can also... what? I forgot my next line. Oh man, this is embarrassing.
Okay, I really think we need to freshen things up. Producer Gareth, hit the voiceover button.
Welcome to the Plant-Based Podcast. Did you know that plants are truly amazing? Not only can you grow them and eat them, you can also wear them, drink them, nourish your skin with them, and so much more. Let Ellen and Michael inspire you to love plants as much as they do, as they chat with the movers and shakers in this wonderful plant-based world. So, let's dig in.
This episode of the Plant-Based Podcast is brought to you by our friends at Cobra. The Cobra range of garden machinery is constantly expanding and offers the UK's largest range of lawnmowers. With a comprehensive lineup of quality and innovative petrol, electric, battery and cordless products to tackle any gardening task, Cobra is the newest evolution in garden machinery. Visit cobragarden.co.uk for your chance to win a variety of great Cobra products.
Okay, we're here in Suffolk today, which is actually my home turf. And we're actually visiting an independent nursery. So in the series, we're also talking to a garden centre to see how life's been for them, how they've seen the business develop over the years. But we also wanted to talk to an independent. So we're here today at Kiln Farm Nursery with Ruth Gowdy. Welcome to the podcast.
Hello.
And
Hello.
I must say, Kiln Farm Nurseries only came under my radar in the last few months, and that is thanks to Instagram, and also I think driving past and seeing the sign. But you tell me you've been here for more than 10 years, but you've obviously gone under the radar for a while. So we want to hear all about that. We also want to hear all about your career. But first of all, take us right back to your childhood, because you actually grew up on Kiln Farm, is that correct?
Yes.
Yeah.
So it's my family farm, and I grew up here, but I never appreciated it because all I wanted to do was be a dancer.
Yeah.
So I used to go to school so that I could go to my dancing lessons,
Really?
and my poor mum and dad used to take me everywhere, and every night I'd go dancing. And
What kind of dancing?
Ballet.
Ballet.
Absolutely loved ballet.
Wow.
I wasn't especially good, but good enough to get into dance school.
Okay.
But it all went horribly wrong, and I had to give up because I got an autoimmune disease.
Okay.
So when you really, really love something like that, there isn't really a replacement, and so you don't really know what you want to do. So I was living in London because I was training to dance. But I didn't want to come back to Suffolk. The last place in the world I wanted to land up was Suffolk.
That's how I often feel. I feel you.
Well, I do. I love it now.
Yeah.
But at that time, the idea of coming home and living with my parents again when I've just found freedom. So
I think it's because it's like countryside, and once you've seen the bright lights of the city, like who wants
But it's
to go
also
back?
independence, isn't
Willingly.
it? When you move home, because
Yes.
wherever you are, like, you know, obviously I'm from Norfolk, but when I left Norfolk, it was great. It's like independence. You've kind of broken away. So the idea of going home wherever that is
and being
like,
somewhere that you're anonymous, because I know
Yes.
you said about Suffolk, you know,
Yes.
everyone knows
Everyone knows
everyone. and
everyone,
you
yeah.
said the same for Norfolk.
Yeah,
Ellen. It's just,
I feel like an intruder actually being in Suffolk.
Yeah, don't let people find out.
But also, I think, don't you think as well that when you're in Suffolk or Norfolk or a place like that you've always grown up in, one, you can never escape your past. So if you've ever done anything embarrassing, people always go, "Oh, you're the girl who did that in assembly or whatever." But also, your reference points are quite small. So when I went to London, I was meeting people from all over the world, different cultures and personalities. I was very sheltered, and you know, in our village, we were quite sheltered in a good way, but you can't go. Well, I didn't want to go through life like that.
Yeah.
So it was really, really nice to meet all different types of people. And, I kind of got a bit of a thirst for travelling and learning different languages and things. So it was a really interesting time. So I worked as a trilingual receptionist and in an oil trading company, actually. So nothing like this at all. Nothing like this at all. But unfortunately, he became ill again, and ultimately did have to move back home just because I couldn't cope physically. So my parents did really come into play. So they did look after me. And I met the boy next door, which was the boy that had always worked on the farm.
Really?
And I'd gone right through school together and everything. And
I'm sure that's a Mills and Boon, no?
That's amazing.
well, no, not if you meet us. We bicker all the time. I always say he's the only person I can really argue with. And I think that's why we still get on. Because we can
I think
have a real
that's
good
the key
argument.
sometimes. Being able to argue.
You've got to be honest. If you're unhappy about something, you just got to let it out, you know. That's
So we
really
got married.
sweet.
Got married, became pregnant, started to build an extension on our house. And once I'd had the baby, he'd always had a market garden in his back garden, and where he'd left school at 16 and had always done gardening, and so I was, well, I want this space so that we can have a slide and a swing and play outside. So he came and spoke to my dad and said, "Can we rent a field?" And that's
because
how
at
it
that
all
point
started.
this was just Kiln Farm, right?
Yes, yes,
No
and at
nursery
that
at all.
time. So it was 2001. That was when there was a lot of diversification and farm shops setting up and things like that. So it was something that we were able to do on this front field, and it was literally the only reason we were doing it was so that we could have a back garden. So we never really made a big fuss about it. It was that somewhere where we could put up a second-hand shed, we could pot up all our plants, and then he used to go to car boot sales. And to be honest, the reason why I did it with him was because he's a workaholic. And if I hadn't done it with him, both he and our daughter would hardly have seen him. Because he used to go out really early in the morning, come back really late at night, and then at weekends he'd be doing plants and going to car boots. So
has it always been about plants for him then? It's
always.
all plants?
Yeah, so this is kind of like his dream, really. But I got sucked in, and so
Not a bad place to be sucked into.
No, exactly, and you get more and more addicted. And I had trained as a Montessori nursery teacher before, and so when we said we were setting up a nursery, all our friends were like, "Well, what sort of nursery?" Because they couldn't decide which way we were going to go. And I'd always got plans that we'd have some kind of nursery school attached so that they could work and be outside, which is now really in again, isn't it? About having
very
forest schools
much
and
so,
things. But this nursery has just taken over us. So we always say it's our third child, and it's our most demanding child because we've always had to respond. It's far outgrown what we ever imagined.
Isn't that amazing?
Yes, it is. It's crazy. But thanks mainly to support of local people, because like you said, we never really advertised. It was just that people used to come down and
I remember when I was a kid, my parents used to have some friends in one of the roads opposite, so we'd often drive on this road, and I'd see maybe signs at the end of the drive for potatoes or something seasonal, but I didn't know what was at the end of the driveway. No. I didn't know if there was only potatoes or a lot more. Sounds like there was a lot more.
Well, there wasn't, because when we started it was a second-hand shed. And our till was an ice cream tub. And literally
for all that potato money.
Exactly.
Actually, I think you'll find as marrows. I've just done a ton of them out there.
There's always marrows everywhere.
Wherever I go, they're like in my dreams.
They are good though. I do love them.
What do you make with them? Completely off track.
If I'm honest, I just love marrow, where I just put it in the pan with some butter and pepper, lots of butter. I'm not one of these healthy types. Lots of butter and pepper, and I just think it's.
And you love it like that.
Yeah,
you can taste the actual vegetable. That's pretty cool.
I've still got ones you left in my damn fridge.
There were so many on my allotment, just so many. When I stayed at his, when he was away, I just left some in his fridge.
Like she thinks they're gifts, but she's just trying to get rid of them.
No, really, I don't think they're
gifts.
gifts. I don't see them as gifts. But when I moved into my new house, my next door neighbour, who also has an allotment, said to me, "By the way, you won't be able to give anyone along here your courgettes or marrow, so don't even bother trying." I was like, "Oh, damn." Anyway, how many years ago was it that you opened up as a nursery?
So we started to build a shop in 2008.
Right, okay.
Which was when we applied for planning permission to build a shop. And that was just because we'd outgrown we'd kind of got one second-hand shed, and then we bought another second-hand shed, and it just got a little bit...
shed.
My dad, being the landowner, had said, "You're beginning to look a little bit tatty now," because we kept going, "Oh look, there's another second-hand shed, let's just buy it and we can do that in it." But every year we'd reinvest.
Right.
So we started out with one shed, and then we had one shed and a polytunnel, and then we had one shed and 2 polytunnels, and then we had a shed and a summer house, and so it all kind of turned into this kind of hodgepodge.
That's so exciting.
And he said,
though,
"No,
you know?
it's about time." And we got a member of staff at that point, and staff have to have toilets.
Yeah, so then there's the facility.
Yes, exactly, because we didn't have those.
Okay.
But when your family...
I'm not going to ask
No, I
any
won't go into
questions about
details.
that.
I won't go into details, but no, so we didn't have toilets or running water.
Okay.
So we made do,
Right.
if that makes sense.
Yeah. In fact,
So
we were actually talking about making do. You said to me, "Do you have a shiwi on your allotment?"
Yeah. And then I reversed out of that conversation quickly.
That's kindness. Sometimes
Oh,
we
dear.
just have to fertilise the ants.
Yeah.
So when did the nursery start to feel like a nursery, like a destination that people would visit? When did it start to be, a competitor to other local nurseries? I guess at that point is where you feel like you're really running a business.
I don't know whether
is local.
we've ever really felt like a competitor to anybody, and I think that is partly because so many people in this industry are so nice. So, and when we built our farm shop, it was then so that we could house a farm shop, but since then the whole farm shop market has completely collapsed. So it was for the goods that were grown on the field, but we got a massive rate bill, and people stopped coming in, and because for the farm shop, simply because there was the supermarket wars, and they were bringing all their prices down, and we couldn't match. We were growing them, and we couldn't match them even on minimum wage.
Wow.
So all of a sudden, it was like, well, we've got to make this building pay. So that's when I started to buy other products as well. So we started to sell hanging baskets and pots and things like that. So I remember the first time I saw a rep and he said, "If you want to buy pots, you have to buy a whole pallet." A whole pallet of pots.
Scary.
So I was terrified. Yeah, really. It was, oh my goodness, I've got to sell all of those. And how much is it going to cost? So that was really scary. But so I think it's kind of evolved. Like I said, it's not been our choice. It's just evolved, and it's really only in the last maybe 5 years that we've begun to feel like we're where we'd like to be.
Okay. I mean, it just sounds so organic, doesn't it?
It
Just
has
the whole
been like
process.
that. It has been like that. Me and Paul tried to make 5-year plans in our lives as well as in business, and so we've always looked at what we've got and gone, we need to improve this, and this is what we need to do about it, and then we have a 5-year plan, and it does usually roll. So our staff get really fed up because I'm talking now about the next 5-year plan, but it might not happen for 2 years. So if you're in a workplace, and I keep saying, well, when we have blah blah blah, and they're like, right, and then it finally happens, and they're so surprised.
Oh, it's true. You really are.
And the ones that
saying
came
it.
back that were originally here always go, "Oh my goodness, you finally did what you said you'd do." So,
Good. Like a good follow through.
So, because it's grown organically, I mean, is that why? I mean, up until very recently, neither Michael or I had heard of you.
No.
But it was Instagram.
It was
put it in front of us, wasn't it?
that we noticed you. So, do you think social media has helped, your reach to get your name out there?
I don't know. I actually do it because I like it.
Okay.
And I started with Facebook, and I only did Facebook because I'd got daughters, and at school they said you've got to learn how to do Facebook for their own safety.
Right.
So I learned about Facebook, and suddenly realised that everybody else was talking in this virtual world that I had no idea what was going on. And I got a little bit hooked. I think we all do when we first start. And so said, I've got to do a Facebook page, and my husband still tells me to get on my phone. He still tells me to get off my phone. He does not consider it to be work at all.
Oh, really?
No.
Oh, really?
No, it's
Even though it's bringing people to the nursery, and
but he doesn't.
it's the whole reason we're
do
sitting
social
here.
media.
Yeah.
He's only just gone from a brick. He had a Nokia brick until about
it's
a year
so funny
ago.
how people don't get that, isn't it? Yeah.
We were talking about the Nokia brick the other day. won't we?
Definitely.
Do you remember?
Ellen's lost her microphone muff. That's why she paused.
I've lost my muff.
Don't worry, it'll turn up, love. We'll have to work without the muff for the next 5 minutes.
Yeah, we will. Yeah.
For mine?
Oh no, we're fine.
No muff.
Just let's all talk softly and nicely.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right, carry on.
Yeah, I mean, I think when you do start on social media, I think we both said it as well, that when we were younger, we loving plants. Not everyone loved plants, so we felt a bit different. And then when social media came around and we started using it, it like opens up this whole world of other people who love plants.
Yes.
You know, and flowers and gardening and just all of that. And it's incredible. So I completely get why you would be hooked.
Yeah. And I love the response when people respond and they'll say, oh yes, I've got one of those. And so I now do 2 pages because the nursery I was finding was very much the story about what we're doing here.
Yeah.
And we've got so many lovely staff and they all play a really important part. So there's about 10 of them, and they all have different roles and they're all really skilled at what they do. And so it's nice to say, oh, Marie did this today and Bev was doing this lovely display and Chris was out
and that's
this.
really good for the viewer or your followers, because it's lovely to see the people behind the business
and what's actually happening. I don't think a lot of people realise that when they go to some places they're buying plants that have been bought in and shipped in, whereas when they'll come often to the independent nurseries and the garden centres, that we've grown them. So there are babies, these plants, aren't they?
Big
So
difference.
It's like sending them off to a new home.
well, it is. When I do my hanging baskets, people do get a bit of a lecture before they take them. Honestly, I'm like, you will look after it, won't you? And make sure you water
You should
it
do
every
some
day.
YouTube videos. You should do a series.
I am.
Where you're like the bossy gardener or something.
I've just
Have you started?
Yes,
wow.
I've just. But that's what I was saying about now. I'm running 2 because I run with Gaudi the flower writer as well, because I wanted to write more about the plants than just the story of the nursery. And the plants, to me, I'm missing the plants because the nursery has grown so much. Me and Paul used to touch every single plant on the nursery, and now often I've got clean nails, and that's not a good feeling to have clean nails. It just means you're not touching the earth. And that's what you start out, that's what you're doing, that's what you love. And so the flower writing one is more where I'm writing about the meaning of the flowers, their history and the folklore, and also what it means to people. And it's surprising what you get back from people. They'll often say, oh yes, my grandma used to grow these, and I just think that's so lovely. That's really special. It's a really special thing. So,
That's really cool.
It is.
Oh.
That's really nice.
Well, we don't want to touch on it too much, but we want to just talk about lockdown. Like the company diversified a little bit through lockdown. That helped yourselves, but also the local community. Just give us a few words on that.
Yeah,
please.
well, we did vegetable boxes. It was simply that when Boris shut down, at that stage, because we were a farm shop, we'd been really busy and people had been panic buying eggs and potatoes and things like that. And so the next morning, me and Paul woke up at 5 o'clock in the morning, what are we going to do? And we just decided that we just had to do our bit. And so it was quite weird because we've only got a normal phone. But we decided that we'd have a phone where people could phone in and we'd take orders. So rather than do vegetable boxes, which a lot of people did, a lot of our customers, some are like on their own, and then there'd be other people that they got big families, so they could ring up and order what they wanted.
Oh, cool.
And we thought it would be quite steady. But it was scary.
Really?
It was really scary, the first 2 days was nice, and 15 boxes, 20 boxes.
And the word got out.
Yes, and it went crazy. It was 70 boxes a day.
Wow.
Yeah, and it wasn't, and in that peak time, the phone rang every 7 seconds. So I put it down, and the longest it went was 7 seconds.
That's incredible.
So it was quite stressful. We were working like from early in the morning and then delivering late at night. And in the end, we had to go to our local community to help. Lots of people in Kesgrave had signed up so that they would deliver to their neighbourhood, and so then they could pick up the boxes for their neighbours.
Are you still doing them now?
We do still do them, so we still have a safe collection gate, so if anybody's shielding or just worried about coming out, they can still ring up and order. But what we've found is that now most people like to get out, and they do, even if they come and order, they actually like to come and pay, so they just have a chat. And that's the other thing, people were lonely, weren't they?
So lonely, like people need people, you know, and so even just getting to the till and saying hi, how you doing, that's like, it really brightens up your day just to see somebody. So it's
and
really,
it was really just really nice to be able to do something when this community have supported us, and we were able to do something that supported them, and that was really important.
Yeah, that's really nice. So I mean, you were saying that you have like 5-year plans, and then obviously amongst this current 5-year plan that you're in, lockdown has happened. So has your kind of vision for the business changed at all?
Yes,
or what is the vision for the business?
Yeah, it has changed, but one of the main things that we really wanted to do that was kind of ruined by COVID was we were wanting to work on wildlife areas.
Right.
So although as a farm we've always encouraged wildlife, and on the nursery, and the farm manager here has got bees, so the bees love all our perennial beds and shrub beds and everything. One of my passions is kind of spreading the word, and I know that you know that children need to engage with nature before the age of 11, otherwise they've lost it. And also older people with dementia engaging with plants will often really encourage their memories. And so I really wanted to run workshops and events and things like that would encourage people to come down and either make something, do something, or just be here, or do a drawing, or whatever it is, depending on their ability or needs. And that was part of the reason why we had our coffee shop as well, so that hospital groups and residential homes and things could come out and come and sit and have a cup of coffee amongst the flowers, really. And that's why we had our tables outside, so that they could enjoy that.
Nice.
But of course that's all been ruined really by COVID, and we're not able to reopen our coffee shop because it's too small. So we're trying to work our way around finding a new way of opening the coffee shop again in a different way. But one of the things that we had done was put up a big screen, and we've got nest boxes up so that people could watch our baby birds hatching, because we always have nests around here.
Nice.
And the other thing we want to do is have areas for different members and groups in the community where they can grow their own plants. So like we have the rainbows come down and do walks, and the scouts come down and do scarecrows and things like that, and it would be really nice. There's lots of people ask, can they volunteer, say they've had an illness, or that we might be able to. That's what I'd like to be able to do, is incorporate that so that they could have a space that they can garden.
It sounds like you're just trying to create a really kind of community vibe. So you are a nursery, you know, you're a business, but being able to allow people to come in groups or to do workshops or to grow their own, that's almost like a community allotment in a way, isn't it, as well? So it's kind of like incorporating everything, and I guess that's something that an independent nursery can do.
Absolutely.
You know?
Well, it's not profitable, is it? It's not something that's good for. Well, when I say it's not profitable, it's not good for profit in the way that perhaps
it's good for PR and awareness, though, which could then lead to profit for customers.
And also, I think that's the beauty of being self-employed and running our own nursery, is if it matters to us, then we can do it. So I wouldn't ever do that and sacrifice the business, because people rely on us for their income, and we rely on it for our income. On the other hand, if we can do that alongside to us, that makes us feel better.
It will complement the business, absolutely, in many ways. Like indirectly, it will probably help profit anyway, because you'll have more footfall, people will engage with you more, there'll be more out there on social media, all those things. If somebody wants to buy a hanging basket and they've been here, you know, as part of a group, they will come here first, you know. So it's all.
Well, let's hope so.
But it sounds amazing.
That's the vision.
That's
somehow
the vision.
We've got to make it happen.
I like your vision.
But it is where independents have a lot more freedom time over a chain. And, we visit various chain garden centres. We see the benefits of that. But stronger buying, better arranged. But also, as an independent, there's a lot of benefits and ways that the customer can have a nicer experience as well, isn't there?
Well, we know a significant proportion of our customers. So I have to be honest and say I'm rubbish on names. And I like to think the customers know that.
Do you know what plant they're coming for? Is it like
yes.
It's like on Coronation Street when you go to the bar and you're like, usual.
Yes.
I would love to do that somewhere.
We have a gentleman, I hope it's not listening, who we call the evergreen man in a pot. The evergreen shrub in a pot man.
So you know exactly what he's going to come
He's going to ask and he's going to come in and say, can I have an evergreen shrub that I can grow in a pot that I don't have to water too much?
How many does he need though?
I was going to say, I've nearly run to the end. I've really got to the end of my possibilities.
You must have a patio full of your shrubs.
Well, people come in and say, I was at Felixstowe yesterday. I went for a swim and I was walking along with my cousin talking about how excited I was about being on the podcast.
Oh, that's cool.
And this man in a wetsuit walked up behind me and went, "Oh, my garden's full of your plants."
Oh, really?
What a moment.
I know. I was like, oh my goodness.
That's awesome.
But I didn't recognise him. I did say I was sorry I didn't recognise him.
But when you got a raising profile, this happens, Ruth,
Well, it must happen to you all the time.
Never.
It must be.
All of the time.
Well, I'm doing my selfie as well. I'm I want to put it on Insta.
But you must be because Ipswich, once you tap beneath the surface, there's quite a lot of cool independent things going on, like the independent cafes like Green Rooms or Applaud, for example, and all of those people that put All About Ipswich together. So I assume you're in that circuit and you kind of then get
Not really.
No?
Not really.
Let's get you in then.
If I'm honest, I'm more like in touch. We're part of the HTA. We've got a little group in the HTA,
the Horticultural Trade Association.
Yes, and so we are in a group which is Business Improvement Scheme, and it's not that I don't like the Ipswich band. The Ipswich band are lovely. We don't find we have many customers from Ipswich. Oh, really? Interestingly, we have kind of Kesgrove, Marshall, and Woodbridge. This is so boring. Sorry on your podcast. Further afield, but I wouldn't say that there's many people that say they've come from town. But with the HTA in our group, we just learn so much from one another because it's horticultural.
It's good support for business.
It's really good because sometimes you think, oh my goodness, I've had a terrible month, and then you talk to somebody else and they say, oh yeah, I've had that too,
and you realise it's not just you, it's a trend at that time.
Really cool.
Interesting. Well, thank you. So in part 2 we will be back and we're going to be chatting about your flower fields and your love of flowers and all of that jazz as well.
Okay, thank you.
Hello, Mr. Plant Geek here. I need to introduce our contributors, Joey and Katie. Now, they will be bringing us a range of very interesting recipes to use up all of those vegetable gluts that you have, but they'll always have a little bit of a twist to the usual. So I hope you enjoy this week's episode, and if you make it, send us a picture or a sample in the post. Enjoy!
Hi, I'm Joey.
And I'm Katie.
Together we are Joey and Katie Cook. We want to start by showing a big thank you to Mr. Plant Geek and Ellen Mary for inviting us onto the Plant-Based podcast to share some of our favourite seasonal veg-centric recipes with you.
Our recipes celebrate seasonal plants first and foremost. We believe a veg-centric diet, as we call it, is the healthiest, tastiest and most sustainable way of eating. And if one chooses to eat a little meat and fish now and then, it's important to seek out high welfare options and enjoy this once in a blue moon. That said, the recipe we're sharing today is a vegetarian one, and it's one of the tastiest winter salads we know. We call it Way Better Waldorf.
So what's in the salad? We've stuck to seasonal principles using wintry pears, celery and red onion. These ingredients simply need to be finely chopped and tossed with some lettuce and bitter leaves. And then we've added raisins or sultanas from the baking cupboard in place of the more traditional summery grapes. These add a delicious concentrated sweetness, which contrasts the bitter leaves very nicely. Even if you're a sort of sultana in savoury things skeptic, we urge you to give these a go. Finely chopped parsley adds a fresh herbaceous note too. Katie, what is your favourite part of the salad?
Glad you asked, Jo. I love the honey and chili caramelised walnuts. They are so Moorish. I eat most before we sit down to the salad. They're sweet, salty, crunchy, and just a little fiery. And I think that they take the salad to the next level. For you guys listening, the process isn't too complicated. You need to toast some walnuts first, then pop them in a frying pan over a medium heat, and shimmy them around with some bubbling honey until they look glossy and crisp. We scatter sea salt and chili flakes at the end, which fuse to the hot caramelised exterior. You can catch a video of this method on our YouTube channel. And what's your favourite bit, Joey?
I'm glad you asked. So, having an uber savoury tooth, I would have to say the dressing. It's creamy like a traditional dressing, but it's so tangy and alive thanks to the kefir. So basically it's a far cry from that sort of cloying feeling of too much mayo in a dressing. Kefir is a fermented malt drink which has a wonderful sort of savoury lactic tang, and this lifts the whole salad brilliantly. And again, for you guys listening, the process is very straightforward. You simply need to smush together some crumbled Stilton, kefir, and 2 tablespoons of red wine vinegar for those acidic high notes. It is a powerhouse of a dressing.
And then just toss, muddle, etc. and enjoy. If you like the sound of this way better Waldorf, you can find the full recipe over on www.joeyandkatiecook.co.uk, as well as lots more.
Beautiful. And you can catch us on Instagram at Joey and Katie Cook, where we share veg-centric recipes and inspiration daily. Thank you.
Bye.
Okay, so we're here in part 2 with Ruth at Kiln Farm Nursery. And we're going to start to have a bit of a kind of virtual tour around the nursery. I want you to tell me all about the plant area, all about the flower fields, the vegetable crops that are here as well. Okay. Tell me what you are growing here on the site, and can people pick their own cut flowers, for example, or how does that work?
Okay, so
that would be a nice idea.
It would be a nice idea. My husband grows the cut flowers.
Yeah.
I always really admired Sarah Raven. I thought she was amazing. I loved her. And I always had this vision of me going out into the garden or into the nursery. Exactly.
And a floaty scarf.
Yes, and cutting these flowers. And he said, yes, darling, of course you can do that. I'll plant you some flowers. And I never ever went out.
Oh, it just went to mush.
Yeah, which is awful. So he does it now.
Yeah.
So
does he do it in a floaty dress?
No. Luckily, no. But he does wear what I call Christopher Robin shorts.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cute.
I still fancy
Get
him.
that on Instagram.
Okay, I will. I will, yeah.
Love that.
So he cuts the flowers, and so I always go, no, you shouldn't have planted those, you should have planted those instead. But given that he does all the work, I can't really.
But where do you sell them? Only in the farm shop?
Only in the farm shop.
Nowhere else?
And it's flower market is quite erratic. As you know, with flowers, you cut them, and really you need to sell them that day or the next day. But say the weather's rubbish, and we haven't got many customers, then they won't have sold, and so you throw them away. So it's the sort of thing where you just need to be here every day, and you cut when the ones that have sold are gone. Then you cut fresh ones. You go out. So we grow sweet peas, and we grow some in the tunnel, so that extends the sweet pea season. And they are our most popular. Really, everybody loves sweet peas.
I saw a bunch last week, and I wish I bought the status instead.
Yeah, but the status will last.
Yeah,
True.
it will last longer than sweet peas.
It was so cheap. £2 for like probably 100 stems.
Did they have beautiful straight stems?
I know, but that's because we come from like that market garden background, and me and my mother-in-law always used to go, would you pay for that? And we go, no, because we'd grow it ourselves, wouldn't we?
But like, it was such a bundle, Ellen. You can't even imagine it. Yeah.
Wow.
So one of our visions, you talk about our visions, one of our visions is to have like a bigger houseplant area and have more cut flowers. And we've got a lovely lady in the shop at the moment who she was a florist. So doing proper wrapping, so not using cellophane, so using brown paper and raffia and ties and things like that. That would be really, really nice to do. But you need space, and we need to be more organised about how we do it, rather than this kind of ad hoc way of doing the flowers.
But I did think a pick your own blooms field would be nice, because in Holland they often have it in the spring with tulips. They'll have a big
they?
tulip
Yeah.
field where they just easily just sow the bulbs in
Yes.
yours, and that's it.
Yes.
And then people can just go and take 10 stems for,
Oh, wow.
you know, €5.
Well, you can like
or something.
contact like local
Be really
florists,
nice.
and they can come and pick their own.
Yeah.
They could come to the field and pick what they want. You know, they could come in the morning and take what they need for the day.
I shall put this on the 5-year plan.
Well, there you go. Look.
Yeah.
This guy...
Do we get paid for this?
Oh, no, you don't know that guy.
Oh,
There's a guy, I did a
Okay.
photo shoot with Caroline,
Yes.
Abundant Florist or something.
Okay.
He's quite local to here, he might use your flowers. Yeah.
but there you
I
go.
don't know.
Yes.
Trying to network in the middle of a podcast here.
Our thing is we have so many ideas. There's always the ideas, and we want to do so many things,
Yeah.
and would think as you go on that they'd get less, but actually you get more. There's more and more things you want to do,
Yeah.
and it's finding the time.
I always wonder, coming like anywhere like this, how do you even choose what you're going to grow? So obviously you grow your cut flowers, you've got the perennial plants, annuals, you grow veg. How do you choose?
Well, we started
what
with
you're gonna
shrubs and perennials,
Right.
mainly shrubs, because that was what Paul started doing.
Yeah.
And also then what happened was his uncle grows liners in Scotland.
Okay.
So he used to go, when he was younger, he used to go up and work on his uncle's nursery. And so he got kind of into shrubs and got the knowledge from there.
Okay.
And he used to go with his van and fill up his van with liners and then bring them home. So when our daughter was 8 weeks old, we did a road trip up to his uncle's in Craignish, and did that, and much to Paul's nana's horror. So we had poor baby,
Taking an 8-week baby.
but she loved it, so it was fine. And so shrubs were where we started, and I'm sure you're the same, that we're addicted. So if we then see something on a liner list that we haven't grown, we want to grow it.
No.
Or if we see a plant, if we're out and we see a plant and we haven't grown it, we want to grow it. It's kind of nice because you can add to your collection without actually having to pay for it. Although you are paying for it, but it's like buying things for yourself that you're not actually buying. So yes, but it's a good investment for the nursery. So yeah, and so we just haven't stopped. And perennials, I've always loved the perennials. So Paul loves the shrubs, and I've always really loved the perennials.
So you're propagating perennials from liners, or you're taking
Yes,
your own?
bare root. So we plant a
Okay.
lot of bare root in February, and liners. But often what we do is we grow bare root in 2 litres and 3 litres, and then we buy 1 litre and 9 centimetre perennials, and then it means that we've got we can have a massive range, because we can obviously, when you grow liners, you maybe have to grow 84 of something, whereas when you're buying in 9 centimetres, you can buy them in 12s. So it means that I can have every variety of delphinium and still grow our own, and then if there's anything left over, which we used to have a lot more left over than we do now, then we pot them up for the following year. So our 9 centimetres turn into our 3 litres for the following year. So I've always got a really nice wide variety, and I just love them. I just love the perennials. I cannot understand why people buy summer bedding. Well, I can understand why people buy a proportion, or just for your containers, or just to add to a border, just to brighten it up, especially in that June time when a lot of the shrubs are quite bare. But really, perennials are the way to go.
That's the thing for you.
Oh, yes,
But how do you
definitely.
choose what cut flowers you're going to grow?
Paul does that.
Okay, he does all of it.
I just go, I like those, and sometimes he listens and sometimes he doesn't. And some of the perennials, he started putting some of the perennials in as cut flowers.
Yeah, it's really fun with cut flowers to experiment and see what does last in a vase.
Yes, exactly.
Some nice surprises sometimes.
Yes, I mean, we've got goldenrod, which I always tend to think almost as a weed, really.
Yeah.
But he's been putting that in, and it's been quite
there's
popular.
a lot of new varieties in Holland of like Solidago, goldenrod, which
I have some on the allotment.
just
the
kind of like
birds love
coloured
them, don't they?
foliage, kind of hybrid with flowers.
Yeah, and they look great in a vase as well.
Yeah,
Definitely.
so,
Wow, that's cool. How about veg though? Because you grow some veg here.
Yeah.
Is that for the shop? Or,
Yes.
Yeah?
Always.
But
Always for the
you're
shop.
not growing everything for the shop.
No.
Some stuff you have to trade.
No, so we
Right.
kind of stumbled when farm shops were really in. A lot of them were saying, "Oh, we only grow ours, or we only grow local. But what happened is that people don't always understand about the seasons.
Yeah.
And I'm the same, so I still want to have peppers in December, if I'm honest, and I like to have mange too. And lemons were our biggest thing, because we do Christmas boxes, so people can order their boxes at Christmas.
Right.
And that was when we started stocking lemons, because everybody asked for lemons. I'm assuming for their gin.
Of course.
Yeah.
I don't know why you looked at me then.
So all of a sudden we had to stock lemons, and we've never looked back. But we always felt a little bit like we were cheating by having lemons. And then the next stage and next level was when we started having bananas, because people were asking for bananas, and again we couldn't pretend we'd grown them on the field. And because the demand has gone down due to the supermarket situation, what we now do is we grow specific crops that we know are really popular and that the supermarkets can't emulate in the same way. So we would grow runner beans, because nobody in supermarkets can produce runner beans that you've picked that morning. We grow pumpkins, because we have massive people, loads of people come down for pumpkins.
Is that
and we have
what's growing in your field?
Yes.
We saw those and we came in.
So
I was like, let's wash plants.
And I love that. So I'm not a big fan of Halloween. I think in Suffolk we're a little bit superstitious, and we're not really that keen on the Halloween thing. But I do love it when all the children come down and everyone's posting all the pictures. Yes.
That's fab.
So what we do, we harvest them, because for health and I'm one of those worrier people. So I worry about everything, and so health and safety just triggers everything for me. And I'm worried that if they go out in the field, you know how the pumpkins grow and they can trip you up. And some of these kiddies are only dinky, they're only up to my knee, and some of the pumpkins are nearly up to my knee as well. So I worry they're all going to fall over and hurt themselves and lift the pumpkins. So we harvest them. I say we, in the loosest sense of the word. My husband and all the
By
troops.
now we know what we mean.
Yes,
we get it.
We grow the cut flowers.
Yeah.
We grow the pumpkins.
And then he brings them all back, and then we have a massive, one year we had a walk, the pumpkin walk, so people can choose. And then I love it, because on social media and things, they'll all post their pictures of what they've. So pumpkins are really good. We do, they're not necessarily edible, but we do field grown wallflowers.
Okay.
So that's quite uncommon to have bare root wallflowers that people can plant. And they're really, really popular. People come a long way for those.
Nice.
It's quite
radishes,
a traditional way of growing.
rhubarb. That kind of the things that that you can have that are really fresh. That people really like.
That you don't. It's not so easy to get in the supermarket.
No.
Well, I've seen that massive tray of runner beans. Did you see that when we came in?
Yeah, that was my father-in-law. That's
They
his
looked
project.
amazing.
Is the runner beans. He puts on the runner beans
They
out
look
and looks after them all.
perfect.
Yes, he's very good.
So, over the years that you have been going here, have you noticed a change in the people that come here? Has it increased? Are the ages different? I mean, what have you noticed, like the trends with shopping?
Well, definitely getting younger. It's really great to see more younger people coming.
Are you sometimes surprised when people are super young, or they just don't look like the plant type?
No, not anymore, because
No,
I think that because of how we are, we like it, and so obviously I'm old now, but we weren't when we started, and so it was whenever somebody young comes, it's really fun. And I make fairy gardens. I love doing fairy gardens.
Wow.
And so if children come, I'm like, oh my goodness, and I want to show them things and do things with them. So hopefully I think people pick that up from you.
Cool.
So but it's definitely since COVID, that's definitely
That's changed.
yes, yeah, really a lot
It's
more.
opened everyone's eyes, hasn't it, to the natural world, and they want that connection, and plants is the way to do it, like house plants and just growing your own food, just bits and bobs in the garden. A friend of mine had posted on Facebook just the other day, look, here's the first carrot I've ever grown.
Yes.
And I was like,
Yes.
yay!
And a friend of mine had posted something on this morning that said things that make me feel powerful, and then there was like a little graph, and it was like money, status, and then it got growing my own
tomatoes.
tomatoes. I'm really good.
Oh, this is where my 16-year-old self wanted the world to get to, and now we're here. Everyone's loving plants.
Yeah, it's awesome, isn't it?
Cool. We really love chatting to you today, obviously about the plants, flowers, everything on the nursery. But just before we sign off, what do you do when you're not here on the nursery?
My
unusual hobbies? Or?
Well, I have. When I was 40...
I can just tell there's something.
No, when I was 40, I bought myself a piano. I had to buy myself like a digital one because we're semi-detached, and every wall is connected to next door. So I had to buy a digital piano, and I was determined to learn the piano because I'd always said when I retire I'm going to learn to play the piano, and I realised that was the time, you know, when there was this whole thing about retiring and pensions, and I suddenly realised that we might never be able to retire, and I thought it's no good saying when I retire I'm going to learn to play the piano because it might never happen. So when I was 40 I bought myself a piano.
That's cool.
I learned to play the piano, and I love it. I absolutely love it. So if I'm late into work, they look at me and they'll say, have you been playing your piano? Yeah, because I don't realise I start to play the piano. It's a bit like, I'm sure, for you being down the allotment, that time disappears.
Oh, it just disappears. Yeah, I'll just do this one job, which turns into 5 or plus jobs.
Yes.
So when you're playing the piano, it's like, I'll just play this one tune. Oh, no, I'll just do one more.
Yes.
And all of a sudden, a few hours have disappeared.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, I don't know where that time goes.
Yeah, so that's my hobby. But I love walking my dogs as well. I've got 2 labs and I love walking my dogs.
Cool.
Yeah.
And you also write about flowers, don't you?
Yes, I do. So that's something that I started doing because the nursery had become such a business, and I still really like to keep in touch with flowers. And again, I started by wanting to learn the names of wildflowers, because I knew all the names of their flowers and plants here, and I'd grown up on the farm seeing all the wildflowers, but I'd never named them. So I started with a little pocket book that Paul's parents gave me, and I started to learn them, and the more I learned about them, the more I wanted to know their background and their history and why people would call them those names, like, you know, Speedwell, and why would they call
Where
that?
did that come from?
Exactly.
Yeah.
And so then I started researching it all, and I find it really, really interesting, and it's something that I think that my grandmother probably knew and is being lost. And so it's really something, it's like another passion of mine is to start getting people talking about that again.
Because flowers have such meaning, and I think when you understand where they have actually come from in the first place, you remember them better, you remember the name better, because remembering Latin names, it's so hard for me. I always remember the common names. Like, you usually come out with a Latin name and I'll come out with a common name for it. But it kind of makes you feel closer to the plant in a way. You understand it better when you know its background and its meaning and why it's called that. So that's really nice.
Yeah, so
Beautiful.
Beautiful. You're looking at me like, ugh.
Anyway, thank you for being on the podcast.
Yeah,
thank you. Thank you so much.
A real blast.
Yeah, you're my heroes. It's lovely to be here. Thank you.
We're your heroes because we're about to spend a tenner on cut flowers.
Oh, we have a treat for you. We have Richard Chivers from Sharpen Your Spades on the podcast as the new agony uncle, here to answer all of your questions about allotments and growing your own food. So you're very welcome to call him Uncle Richard from now on. If you would like your questions answered, send us a DM or pop them in the comments on our posts on social media at the Plant Based Podcast, and we will make sure Richard answers your questions in future episodes.
So we've had a question in from a gent who's having a bit of an unfortunate problem in that his aubergine is falling off. Well, not his aubergine itself, but his aubergine plant's flowers are falling off and not blooming and not producing fruit, and therefore giving him the benefits of enjoying the aubergines. So I actually had a similar problem to this last year, and it was one of the first times that I've actually grown aubergine plants, and I didn't have a clue what was going on. But like the person posting this question, I had great success germinating my aubergine plants, and they bloomed, some lovely flowers appeared, and then the flowers started falling off, and I really wasn't sure what was going on. And these were in my polytunnel. It was very hot in there, quite a hot period in early summer last year, and the temperatures were going quite crazy in there. And I've discovered it's really about stress, like a lot of things with plants when they start reacting in a negative way like that, particularly if the blooms are falling off, it's usually because they're stressed. So my aubergine plants were stressed and your aubergine plants are stressed. And the key thing is to try and reduce the stress. In most cases, it seems to be about watering or being consistent with water and making sure that they don't overheat. I mean, that was my experience of it. So what I would say is try again and make sure they're getting plenty of water and make sure if you're in a polytunnel like they are with mine that you maintain a temperature that's not too extreme for them. So the lovely Alex Carnell has asked a question. Alex is Garden Myself Sane on Instagram. And Alex asks, if Peter Piper was to pick a peck of pickled peppers and that peck of pickled peppers Peter Piper picked were to be just one variety, which peck of pickled pepper should Peter Piper sow? Excellent question. And there's such a variety of chilies to choose from. It's really about what you want to do with them. And I know I use a lot of fresh ones in when I'm cooking in the kitchen. I do like to use a lot of dried ones as well. And I also pickle them. And as we're talking about pickling peppers with Peter Piper here, the one variety, if you could only grow one variety, I would definitely recommend Hungarian hot wax. It's a prolific chili pepper. I grew 2 plants last year. They are much earlier to produce fruit as well. And they're a brilliant variety for pickling. And if you grow Hungarian hot wax, it produces quite large, quite thick-skinned peppers, which are pale yellowy green when they first start, when they first appear. And that's when a lot of people will pick them, which are quite mild at that point, and they're brilliant for just pickled in vinegar. But if you let them to carry on to ripen, they go through the stages of becoming orange and then red. And the longer you leave them, they ripen and they're quite hot. They become quite hot and they become quite versatile. And they produce so many on each plant that I found that I pickled a massive 2 jars of them and they were fantastic. But also they're perfect to use fresh as well. So if you only pick one, then I highly recommend that you grow Hungarian hot wax. It's a fantastic chili pepper to grow.
Cobra is the very proud partner of Series 4 of the Plant-Based Podcast, joining in the celebration of plants, gardens and outdoor living. With over 60 models of lawnmowers available in the Cobra range, there's something for every garden. As a special offer for our listeners, Cobra is offering the chance to win exclusive prizes. Head over to cobragarden.co.uk to find out more.
To celebrate the launch of Series 4 in association with Cobra, we are giving away prizes amounting to a total of £1,200. And there are 2 ways that you can win. Firstly, there'll be a monthly competition on our Instagram page. You can find us there under plant_based_podcast. And there's a competition on Cobra's own website where you have until the end of the series to win a robotic mower. It's worth almost £700 and it is going to make life so easy for you. Ellen, walk in again. I want you to make a big entrance.
Walk in the room. Door open, sashaying in the room. Ta-da!
Virtual sachet.
Virtual sachet across the floor.
Oh.
I love the
right,
pink.
Fanny?
I'm all right, thank you. But I love the pink, by the way, behind you on the wall.
Yeah, I'm experimenting. Well, no, I'm not really experimenting. I'm probably just going to do it anyway because I like to be spontaneous like that. But yeah. Because my lounge was sky blue and now I'm experimenting with a kind of rose pink, which is quite out there to some people. But yeah, I think I'm just going to do it. But to be honest, I've got testers on the walls, so it's too bloody late now anyway.
You've got to paint it. Yeah.
You've got to paint it some colour, so why not pink?
I just think it's paint. So, like, if you really hate it, you can just go over it.
Oh, definitely. But you can imagine me in DIY.
I wouldn't like to be in the same house as you doing DIY.
Oh, it's just so frustrating. Like, I don't know. I never know the right order to do things in.
You don't have to. You don't have to know it all. You
need to prepare a room and cover carpets before you paint. You need to know that order of stuff, darling.
You need to not ruin everything else in the process, basically.
Oh. But also, like, I think we always expect ourselves to be good at DIY, but it's like, well, that's a whole skill within itself, isn't it? You know, and we're good at other stuff. So
definitely.
I don't know why, as a human race, we're always really hard on ourselves when it comes to DIY. We should ease up a bit.
Well, anything. We think we should be good at everything, but we're not, and we can't.
I know, it's weird, isn't it? Oh, dear. Anyway, how's your closet?
I'm still in it.
Is there a lion and a witch there as well?
Yeah, the closet is great for recording because there's no aircon or heating in here, so you don't get like the hum from
fancy.
that. And outside the apartment, there's loads of building works going on.
Still?
Oh yeah, it's not. We're in a development area, so like there's buildings going up everywhere all of the time. It'll be years before it's finished.
Wow.
Yeah, so there's loads of noise. So whenever I record, I'm sitting in the closet. Unless the workers are on a tea break and I get 20 minutes in the afternoon to record.
Oh my God. Well,
So,
Ellen, welcome to the new series. I wish I'd bought you a box of chocolates, but congratulations. We are on series 4, and why are you giving me that look?
What look? What look? What look was I giving you?
Such a disdainful look.
No, I didn't. I sat back and I was listening to your dulcet tones, kicking off
so
series
welcome.
4.
Add, here, you need to insert a comment about how happy you are. I'm so happy to be recording series 4, Michael.
I'm so excited to be recording series 4. I can't believe we've come this far. We've interviewed so many amazing guests, and we are being sponsored by Cobra Garden Machinery.
I know, there you go. Oh, well, that's really good. Well done. Nice to see you dripping a little bit of enthusiasm into your life.
It is genuinely cool to be on series 4 though, isn't it?
Yeah,
when
definitely.
we started, I guess we didn't really have any idea where it would go or what we would do, and here we are. So it is cool.
I know. And the first episode, like, do you realise it pays homage to us because it's based in East Anglia, isn't it? Namely Suffolk as well. So Suffolk, Norfolk rivals, of course. But yeah, so the first episode based in Suffolk, and the first episode also has a couple of our new contributors as well. What have we got? We've got Joey and Katie with their recipes. So we've got a Waldorf salad of sorts. And we've also got our allotment agony uncle who's been in this episode too. So lots of new features to look forward to over the next few weeks as well. That sounded really corporate, didn't it, Ellen?
It did, didn't it? Yeah, especially did for when we're just generally chatting. This kind of corporate stuff doesn't happen. But that was
really
very good. Thank you. Maybe we should insert that bit at the beginning of the podcast.
I don't know.
Can I just say, our new contributors are awesome. I absolutely, literally adore Uncle Richard's voice. It's like the most soothing voice ever. I could just listen to you. Wish you were Welsh.
Yeah.
It's just so fabulous. So I really, really hope that everyone just starts to call him Uncle Richard now.
Yeah.
I think it could be a thing.
The allotment agony uncle.
Yeah. I think he could go big. Next is he'll have a column. He'll have column in Hello magazine.
I know. No, I want that first.
All right, there's no competition here. You dear. Boys. I'm just going to stay in my closet.
And who else? We haven't mentioned one person who's bringing us the jokes. Who's that?
Greg he's from Australia, Did I do that? Did I do the accent okay?
So we've got a nice range of different accents, haven't we?
Yeah, we have a range of different accents. That's really cool. He's from the Blue Mountains Botanic Garden, and he actually done an episode in series 3 about carnivorous plants and gardening at the Blue Mountains. And it's an epic garden. It's probably one of my favourites I've ever visited. The views are just exceptional, and you kind of go up into the mountains and you don't expect to see all of this amazing lush greenery and plants and different species. It's just super awesome. But Greg is a really funny guy, so to have him doing jokes on a podcast, gardening jokes, will be really cool, and I should think probably maybe a touch rude occasionally.
What about gardening? Give me a little bit of your gardening gossip. What have you been up to?
Well,
how's your balcony, babe?
My balcony is really asleep for winter. We're so exposed up here, and it's been really cold, down to kind of -4, -5 with winds and stuff. So it's sleeping.
That's not sunbathing weather, is it, darling?
Definitely not sunbathing weather. But most things are sleeping. But I have a load of tulips and daffodils that are all popping up in the pots that I planted in autumn time, so that's exciting. But because I'm obviously heading back to the UK in a couple of weeks, I'm going to have to be FaceTiming my husband and actually talking him through how to plant the veggie pod up and all of the pots. And that's the first time in 20 years that he's actually going to have to do it himself. Is that also known as
bossing him around?
No, he wants to do it. Yeah. He doesn't know how to do it. He doesn't do gardening at all. Yeah. But he wants it to look lovely, so he said that,
Ellen,
that's quite exciting.
There's someone at my door.
Every time we record, there's someone at your door.
Hang on, I'll be back in.
I think you need to take it with you. We want to hear the conversation.
2 seconds, sorry.
How rude. So while Michael basically goes to answer his door mid-recording a podcast, I'm getting a better view of his lounge and the pink paint on the walls. It looks kind of cool, actually. Don't tell him, because he'll get a big head. Oh, and here he is, back on the sofa.
Sorry, have you still been recording? Sorry. It was a window cleaner. I'm interviewing window cleaners this week.
You're interviewing window cleaners?
Yeah. Well, not
interviewing?
Well, it's a bit weird. They kind of, they want to come and look and assess the job, but it's kind of like, well, I don't know, surely no. Are window cleaners, would they all cost the same? I don't know.
I guess if you've got tricky areas or windows up high and stuff and access, they need to know about.
Yeah, true. Yeah,
this whole house thing is new to you, like having the house and all of that.
I know. It is a bit bizarre.
And
sorry,
also,
I'm just trying to take a cute picture of myself.
I'm super concerned about the fact how you're sitting right now.
Yeah, my legs are open.
Yeah, I have a view of Michael's legs open on Zoom, which is not something I'd anticipated for this morning.
Oh, Ellen, talk about anticipation. I cannot wait for bloody spring. My bulbs, oh my God, I haven't grown bulbs for a few years, and I haven't grown bare root plants for a few years, and planting in the autumn and then waiting for the spring, I now realise that is such a long time, and it's also such a leap of faith as well, because you plant these things and you're kind of like, well, will they be okay under the snow? Will they be okay when it's cold and wet? But they're there, they're bouncing back, and even primrose is still blooming under the snow and the ice, and it's like, plants are tougher than you think, but it doesn't you got your heart in your mouth, you're kind of like, I planted 600 bulbs, I hope the buggers come through, you know?
Well, they generally do, unless something's eating them or whatever. But I think I love winter time because we need it. We need the cold to kill off some pests and diseases, and bulbs need to store their energy in order to bloom, and plants need the rest and all of that. I love winter because there's so much actually going on that we can't see, and it gives you so much hope for spring. But I think this year particularly, people have been craving spring more than ever before, haven't they?
Totally.
Because we're at home, and it's been cold and snowy and raining and dull and all of that.
We are gagging for it, aren't we?
People are gagging for it, and I know you're gagging for it because you have your new garden and you've planted millions of bulbs, haven't you?
I know.
Yay!
That's cool. Awesome. Well, how long do we want to chat for?
I don't.
Sorry, that was very honest, but
I don't. I think.
I feel like we're just rambling now.
Our
And
episode.
We have less time for gossip now that we've got more contributors.
We do.
Now we're a magazine, Ellen.
We are a magazine podcast. I
Magazine
love that
show.
concept. I love the fact that there's different people, different accents, different dynamics on the podcast.
But it means less time for us to gossip.
Well, I think people might probably be quite happy about that. Us rambling on. Anyway,
thanks for being here.
It's lovely to see you. Thanks for being here. I'd appreciate it if you could maybe just put your leg down. That would be great.
Okay, cool.
Yeah. And and
Best
then
advice I've had all day. Put your legs
close
together.
your legs. And I look forward to the next episode.
Excellent. Cool. See you soon, Melon.
See you. Bye.
The theme music for the Plant-Based Podcast is an excerpt from the song Grow by Mikey James, and our editing is done by Gareth Patch of Semi Echo.